Elizabeth Warren is speaking about her history of claiming Cherokee Indian heritage on applications and otherwise. The most recent instance in the news, her application for the Texas bar, wherein she herself wrote exactly that, as witnessed here. Warren started speaking during the commercial break, so we DVR'd it for you, and we'll play it from where we began recording. Listen.
About tribal citizenship and tribal sovereignty and for harm caused. I am also sorry for not being more mindful of this decades ago. Tribes and only tribes determine tribal citizenship. I had a good conversation with Chief Baker. He was very gracious, and we continue to talk about issues and continue to work on issues that matter deeply to Indian country and continue to work on things that we both care a lot about.
So, Senator, why did you list yourself as an American Indian on this Texas bar application?
So this was about 30 years ago, and I am not a tribal citizen. Tribes and only tribes determine citizenship.
Sure.
When I was growing up in Oklahoma, I learned about my family the same way most people do. My brothers and I learned from our mom and our dad and our brothers and our sisters, and those were our family stories. But that said, there really is an important distinction of tribal citizenship. I am not a member of a tribe, and I have apologized for not being more sensitive to that distinction. It's an important distinction.
The president has made the case that you've used this part of your background to get ahead. Are you saying that this is something you fundamentally believed about yourself, or how do you respond to that criticism, that this was a knowing attempt to get ahead by using that claim of ancestry?
So that is a claim that has been fully investigated, and it has now been shown completely that nothing about my background ever had anything to do with any job I got in any place. It's been fully documented, and there's no evidence of any kind other than it had nothing to do.
Are there any more documents or any more forms like this out there that you have listed yourself as that could come out?
Look, this is who I grew up believing with my brothers. This is our family's story. And it's all consistent from that point in time. But as I said, it's important to note I'm not a tribal citizen, and I should have been more mindful of the distinction with tribal citizenship and tribal sovereignty. And that is why I apologize to Chief Baker and why I've made a very public apology about
Senator,
there could be more
filling out the form?
I'm sorry?
Could there be other documents out there with you self-identifying as American Indian?
So all I know is during this time period, this is consistent with what I did because it was based on my understanding from my family's stories. But family stories are not the same as tribal citizenship, and this is why I have apologized both to Chief Baker, who was very gracious about it, and have apologized publicly.
But Senator, this most recent incident just came out yesterday. Have you spoken with him, with Chief Baker, since this new incident was released? And have you heard from any Native American tribes or groups today since that information came out yesterday?
So I haven't spoken with anyone since I saw this information, no. But my apology is an apology for not having been more sensitive about tribal citizenship and tribal sovereignty. I really want to underline the point. Tribes and only tribes determine tribal citizenship. It is an issue of tribal sovereignty.
How do you think voters will react to this?
I'm sorry?
How do you think voters will react to this?
You know, I'm sure there are pundits who will have an answer for that. But understand, this is from the heart. This is about my family, my brothers, and it is about an apology from the heart. An apology for not being more sensitive to tribal citizenship and tribal sovereignty, and for harm caused.
Have you considered dropping out of the race?
last question is the most appropriate one. How will voters respond? Because this is cultural appropriation defined, and the question is, was she trying to gain some sort of advantage? In this case, in the Texas bar, over those who did not consider themselves, quote, American Indian, unquote, which she is not.